The pride of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the former unified welterweight champion of the world, Jaron Boots Ennis. I mean, my goodness, what can you say about the man? Jaron just cannot seem to get out of his own way. Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, Jaron Boots Ennis did an interview with a media outlet called YSM Boxing. And he told them, they asked him first, they were like, I'm going to post a link for the interview in the description. Now they asked him, they were like, did you expect the backlash that you've been getting ever since you announced the fight versus Lima, a fighter who I have never heard of, and I'm sure that you have never heard of in your entire life too. But what did Jaron say? He was like, well, Lima wasn't my option really. We offered Ramos a contract, we offered this guy a contract, this guy, that guy, and they all declined, so we were only left with Lima. But he said we offered Ramos a contract. So what happened, ladies and gentlemen? Jesus Ramos, the 24-year-old monster, 154-pound monster, and as far as I'm concerned, the man is undefeated. I mean, they took away his undefeated record by robbing him versus Erickson Lubin on the Charlo versus Canelo Alvarez undercard. But everyone knows that Lubin got simply outclassed that night. But nonetheless, what happened, ladies and gentlemen? Jesus Ramos just came out and said, what are you talking about? You never offered me a contract. You actually offered my uncle a contract, who is a former 140-pounder who just moved to 147. And now, Jaron, you moved to 154. And you didn't offer me a contract, me, the 154-pounder, but you offered my uncle, who's more than 10 years older than me, who is a former 140-pounder, you offered him a contract, but you're out here saying that you offered Ramos a contract and he didn't want to fight. Now, Jaron Ennis, that is a complete lie. Actually, Ennis thought that we wouldn't notice. He just said Ramos, as if we don't know who he was talking about. There is only one Ramos in the 154-pound division. And now, Jaron, you are a 154-pounder. So why are you sending offers to former 140-pounders? And why did you send an offer to Rashidi Ellis, who is a 147-pounder? You just moved to 154. Why are you trying to fight 140-pounders and 147-pounders who aren't even in their prime? When you talk about Rashidi Ellis, when you talk about Abel Ramos, I mean, Abel Ramos has fought twice probably in the last 2.5 years. Ramos got destroyed by Regis Prograis at 140. And listen, let me say this again. I said this actually in my previous video. I love Jaron Boots Ennis. I have nothing against the man. I think that the man is an exceptional fighter. I think that the man is actually one of the best fighters in the world right now. No question. The man is one of the most talented, one of the most gifted and skilled. No one is arguing that. But, Jaron, you're telling us that you're the best. You're telling us that no one wants to fight you. You're telling us that you're this big bad wolf. But you can't say all these things and then simply turn around and offer 140-pounders contracts and 147-pounders contracts. And now, who are you fighting? You are fighting someone who I just actually memorized his name before making this video, Lima. You cannot tell me that you have heard of this name in your entire life before this fight got signed and announced. You can't tell me that, ladies and gentlemen. And let's be honest, we've been comparing Jaron Ennis to Crawford for the last few years. And actually, Jaron Ennis sued his former promoter, who passed away, Cameron Duncan. He sued him because Cameron Duncan wasn't giving him the biggest opportunities. But don't ever please compare yourself to Terence Crawford. Crawford became undisputed at 147, and what did he do? He immediately went up to 154 and fought the champion, Majumov, the best champion at that time. What did he do after? Moved 2 divisions up, and he's fighting arguably one of the best fighters on earth and one of the best fighters of all time, Canelo Alvarez, with no tune-up, after 13 months off. And even after he moved Crawford, after Crawford moved from 147 to 154, he had 1 year layoff, no warm-up fights, and jumped straight into the fire versus a champion, an undefeated champion, in a high-pressure fight in a football stadium. It doesn't get any greater than that, ladies and gentlemen. So Jaron, we know that you're talented, we know that you're gifted, but just come out and tell us that you don't really want to fight the best for now, that you're content with getting big paydays versus nobodies, and that is fine. That is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But just don't come out and lie to the world and say, we offered Ramos a contract. Well, next time, tell us which Ramos you offered the contract to. You're at 154 pounds now, and he actually, in the interview, on the same interview, he came out and said, all the fans, they've been criticizing me at 147, telling me that you're always fighting small guys and I'm the big guy. Now, I'm moved to 154. What are you talking about? You just moved to 154 and you offered a contract to a 140 pounder. You didn't even, even when he was at 147, 2 fights before he signed to Eddie Hearn, he was also fighting 140 pounders in Lipinets. Lipinets is a 140 pounder. The man is fighting at 140 right now. And Jaron moved him up to 147 and beat him. And now Jaron is moving to 154 and he's also offering contracts to 140 pounders. I mean, Abel Ramos, no disrespect to Abel Ramos. Love his style. The man is absolutely a warrior, no question. But the man got destroyed by small Regis Prograis at 140. Regis Prograis isn't even a big 140 pounder. Devin Haney moved to 135 to 140 and he was way bigger than the 140 pounder Regis Prograis. And Regis Prograis destroyed Abel Ramos. And Abel Ramos, not only is he a 140 pounder, but the man is inactive. The man, look at his record. The man probably had two to three fights in like the last 4 years. The man doesn't fight. The man is a part-time fighter. And this is who Jaron Ennis is fighting and offering contracts to. And he also offered a contract to Rashidi Ellis, a 33-year-old, inactive, 147 pounder. Then why did you move to 154 boots? Why? And not just that, the man doesn't even want to fight Virgil. Eddie Hearn came out and said, we signed to fight Virgil. What does that mean, you signed to fight Virgil? I mean, that means that Boots signed a matchroom contract that he is willing to fight Virgil Ortiz. But just because you signed to fight Virgil, now, after ducking him for over a year, that doesn't mean that Virgil should fight you whenever you want, whenever it suits you. So I don't want to hear it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to hear it anymore. We all love Boots Ennis. We all think that the man is talented. We all know that he is one of the best fighters in the world. But you can't tell me that the man wants to fight the best. You can't tell me that the man wants the toughest challenge. He was like, we wanted Serhii Bohachuk and Ramos. Interesting. Interesting. So why didn't you fight them? And why did you lie about Ramos? Next time, when you say the name Ramos, tell us which Ramos it is. Don't act like we're stupid. Like, this is the thing. We love and respect all these fighters, but you just hate it when they act like we're dumb. Yeah, I offered to fight Ramos at 154. Everyone's going to think that we're talking about Jesus Ramos, the 154 pounder. The 154 pounder who's a top 5 154 pounder. But no, turns out that he offered the fight to his uncle, a man who's 11 years older, and a man who's 2 divisions smaller, and a man who hasn't won a fight in over 2 years. What can I say anymore? What can I say? There is absolutely nothing to be said anymore, ladies and gentlemen, about Jaron Ennis. No one will dispute his talent, but I think it's safe to say that it is more than fair to dispute that the man wants nothing to do with the big boys and the big guns at 154.